I'm Adrienne.
And I'm Addie.
And we're from the Santa Barbara Middle School Teen Press, here with
BRIAN SKERRY.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So,
Since we couldn't be at the ocean today, we decided to bring some of it here. We have some things.
Nice.
And a little bit of water.
Look at this. We can make sandcastles.
And before each question, we're going to put a piece of sea glass in.
Nice. Love sea glass.
So, you said your goal is to make pictures that stay with people for a lifetime. Addie and I have looked through lots of your photographs, and we each have picked one that we think will stay with us for a lifetime.
Very nice.
Before we tell you ours, what one photo of yours would you like us to remember?
Well, if I can cheat a little bit on my answer, I would pick two, for two different reasons. One is the picture that I made of the right whale with my assistant standing on the bottom. And that's a very celebratory picture, and it really, to me, represents the way nature should be appreciated. You know, this wonderful, magical experience with a wild animal that had never seen a human before. The other picture that I would pick is at the other end of the spectrum, and it's a picture of a shark that's dead in a net that we call the crucifixion picture because it's a pelagic animal and has these big fins. And that is because, to me, it sort of gave some empathy. It gave, sympathy to this problem of 100 million sharks being killed every year on the planet. So, again, it's kind of cheating a little bit to your answer, to your question, but I would say those two photos, for very different reasons, are ones that sort of stick out in my mind anyway.
Do you want me to tell you ours?
I do.
Okay.
I'm waiting. Yeah.
Okay. So Addie's was the picture that shows a small handful of shrimp versus the bycatch that was thrown away.
Yeah, that's a powerful one too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then mine was the picture of the mother and baby harp seal kissing before she fed him.
Yeah, thanks. I also love that. Yeah, very tender moment.
Okay. In the past year, I've spent a month on the ocean with my grandpa and my mom and got my scuba license.
Wow.
I was doing my research yesterday, looking and reading about you, and I screamed that I wanted your job. If I was your daughter, how would you help me plot my course?
Well, even if you're not my daughter, I could help you plot your course. I think the best thing you could do is, well, there's several things you could do. But first, you want to learn as much as you can in school. And when you're done, high school, go to a college and try to take courses, either major or at least take a number of courses in the things that you would want to do. So that means journalism or photography and science. Understanding about nature is going to be a big part of being a great photographer because you're only going to be able to photograph things that you really truly understand and you can understand the research. So both of those things are really going to be important. The other thing is to just get whatever camera you can right now and begin going out and shooting pictures because there's nothing like actually doing it to learn. And the good thing is that these days, particularly with a digital camera, the learning curve is very fast. In the old days when we were shooting film, you had to take a picture and then you sent it out to get processed, and it might be a week or more before you actually saw that picture. But now, when you're out there and you take a picture of a squirrel or whatever, you can look and see exactly how it looks. And if it's not right, if the composition isn't right or the light isn't right, you can kind of work the scene a little bit. So I would say practice as much as you can. Get out and shoot and be tough on yourself. Compare the photos that you're shooting against the photos that you admire, the ones you see in magazines, and then, try to build up your portfolio. Try to save the best ones, maybe make prints, maybe put together a little book or just a digital book that you can look at on a computer or an iPad or something. And ultimately, it will be your portfolio, a collection of your best 20 or 30 pictures that will help you get those jobs as a photojournalist, like doing what I do. So think about that all the time and do whatever you can. Have a strategy that says, here's where I am today, here's where I want to be in 10 years or whatever, and then do all the things you need to do along the way. And that's education, it's going out and shooting, it's building your portfolio, it's all those things that will be very important steps to get where you want to be. You know, have a plan.
In my research, I loved how you said that light is the most important aspect of a photograph. What lights your life?
Well, that's a great question. You know, what lights my life, the thing that I guess makes me the most happy is being in nature. You know, I think that nature is pure and unpretentious. And, you know, so much of life, it seems these days especially, is noisy. You know, we're distracted by so many things, and we live in a world that has all these great sort of advantages with instant communication, and, you know, we have cell phones and we have social media and we have all these things that distract our time. But I think as I've gotten older, the thing that I enjoy most, and it's probably what I've always enjoyed and just forgot it for a while, but I really enjoy the solitude of just being out there. And it can be anywhere, you know, it doesn't have to be underwater with sharks or whales. I mean, I love that, of course. But, you know, just being out in a green place with birds and listening to birds, I find that very soothing, and I think that lights my life. And of course, you know, making pictures of those things and trying to share that with others.
When I was diving in St. Croix, my instructor introduced me to a little seahorse. I'll never forget it. You've met many sea animals in your life. What is one that you would want to introduce me to?
Boy, that's a tough one. There's so many that I would love to introduce you to. But, you know, I like so many animals. I love cephalopods, you know, squid, and I love sharks and so many other animals. But there are really something special about marine mammals. And whether it's a dolphin or whale or any of the seals, I think they're very special. So I would like to introduce you, if you haven't already been introduced, to a manatee, because, you know, manatees are pretty easy to get close to, particularly in Florida. You know, you don't need a lot of scuba gear. It's just a mask, snorkel, and fins, basically. And it requires, like with most animals, just being patient, just picking a place, being patient, and letting them come to you, which they inevitably will do because they're curious most times. So if you haven't experienced that, and to anybody who hasn't experienced that, I think it's a pretty magical thing to do, and it's an easy thing to do, and it's a great way to interact with marine wildlife that doesn't take a lot of effort.